So how much money exactly did minimalism actually save me? And by the way, this is not a video about decluttering and saving 30 bucks on Wi-Fi. The answer is not about that. It's about asking $30,000 questions and focusing on exactly makes the most sense in life. And by the way, I've seen a lot of these videos, people talk about, hey, I'm such a minimalist. I don't have a lot of stuff. And then the things that they do have cost thousands of dollars. Like I have my minimalist couch. It costs like $30,000. I'm like, cool stuff, great couch. But that's not what I'm talking about when I'm talking about minimalism. I think about minimalism as, for example, having fewer desires. One of my favorite quotes of all time is, to the man with a lot of desires and not enough money to fulfill them, you're better off having less desires than you have having more money, because more money is going to be more work and a lot more time, and then you won't be able to even enjoy what you actually desire. So this video is not about $30 questions. It's not about cleaning up your room and doing this and that. It's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about decluttering your life to actually save thousands of dollars, okay? This is what this video is about. It's about the big questions. And in this video, I'm gonna share with you guys 3 things that saved me a bunch of money, things I stopped buying, I stopped worrying about, just things overall that made my life a lot more better, a lot happier, a lot more organized overall. And as always, guys, like this video, on top of that, also subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you're notified. And if you do have one of those expensive couches, don't get me wrong, I will visit your home, I will sit in it, and I will enjoy it. But I always hated those like $30,000 couches. Like, to me, it always just seemed absolutely insane, okay? But that's none of my business though. Now, the very first thing, guys, is I stopped buying clothes, like collecting clothes. Now, here's what I will say. There is a season for absolutely everything in life, okay? There is a season for building and growing. Then there is a season for harvesting. The Bible says this, okay? So one big mistake that I basically made, I was so worried about looking the part that basically I was actually risking actually being able to be the part. For example, I bought so much clothes, so many shoes, so many things to try to look fancy, and that was costing me the ability to actually have some good financial foundation. Okay, so here's what I mean, okay? How much money did I used to spend on clothes? The answer is about $200 bi-weekly. Every 15 days, I took money from my pay, and I basically used that to buy sneakers and buy clothes all the time. Now, by the time I was done decluttering, I had about 23 pairs of sneakers, a bunch of clothes, and by the time I was done, I only had around like 3 sneakers I wore on a daily basis, and I had, for example, 3 more that I had for sentimental value, and even today, I don't have them anymore. And as far as clothes, I stopped buying them overall. I started buying my clothes at Goodwill, not really worrying about the looks and all this other stuff. Now, I will say today, you know, because I don't want to be a hypocrite here, if you look at my closet, I do have a lot of shoes. I do have a lot of clothes. But today, guess what? I'm able to afford them, okay? My point is, minimalism, as far as, for example, looks and clothes and all this stuff, is optional in the very beginning. You should not be able to have so many things if you know for a fact you can afford them. So you have to first worry about, hey, how can I be able to actually afford this stuff and buy it the right way without having any regrets? I remember buying Jordans and shoes, and today I don't have a single pair of Jordans. That's kind of crazy. I don't have a single pair of Jordans today. Not one. I had 23 pairs, okay? And the idea is, you know, I remember buying those shoes and regretting it and saying like, oh my gosh, like I own this shoe, it looks cool, but I cannot afford it, and I know I can afford it, and feel like, oh my goodness, what a mistake. But today, I buy shoes, I don't feel bad about it, because I know for a fact I can afford this stuff, and that's the cool thing. Now, number 2, obviously, it saved me about $400 per month by not doing this stuff anymore, and checking my desire to look cool and to actually be cool as far as being financially stable. To me, that's a lot more important than trying to look and impress people that I don't even know and probably don't care about me, and I don't really know them, okay? So that's the cool thing. Now, number 2 is my desire for money, okay? Now, if you ask the average person, how much money do you want in passive income to stop working today? The average person cannot tell you. They can tell you, I hate my job, I don't like it, I don't want to work here. But if you ask them, how much money do you need to stop working today? They don't know. They'll probably give you some crazy arbitrary number like $10,000 per month, and you ask them where did it come from, they'll say, out of my butt. Okay, because they don't know. And that's normal. That's okay, because we tend to focus on what we don't like, and in actuality, we don't focus on what we actually need and what we actually want. And that's more than fine. But in reality, here's what I realized. If you don't know exactly how much money you want and you just want money for wanting money, it will never end, because money is like a paper. They print more of it. It never ends. And on top of that, if you don't check your desire for wanting a bunch of money, it will keep you working for a very long time. And if you don't know where the finish line is, then how do you know when you actually stop? Okay. And it's not to say like chasing money is like a bad thing. Most people that chase money don't make it. But if you chase, for example, service, in the sense, I want to be like the best investor, I want to be the best teacher, I want to be the best this and that and this and that, money just kind of comes, because by providing a service, naturally, in a capitalist society, you will get paid, you will be rewarded. But just wanting money for the sake of wanting money, it usually doesn't work out that well. And one last thing that I notice is, usually a lot of people, they work a job they don't like, that they actually hate, and they do this for one reason, and it's to make more money and to have more money. And it's kind of like, I'm willing to make this sacrifice to make more money, but if you don't know how much is enough, then how do you know exactly when it's time to kind of be like, okay, I don't want to work this job anymore? It's kind of like fruitless. It makes no sense. So what I realized is, and by the way, I worked jobs that I hated, and that was fine, but I did it for a goal. I knew that if I work here, here, and here, and I hate it, but I work here for like 2-3 years, then I'm able to build this business and make this much money, I can quit. That's what you want, right? But I know people that they have a job that's very high paying, but they don't like it, and they just want to make more money. And if you ask them how much is enough, they don't know. So when does it end? The answer is it never ends. And how much money does it actually save me by being a minimalist, in the sense of like my desire for more money? Thousands of dollars, in the sense that it also saved me thousands of hours to try to basically accomplish goals that I didn't know could actually have an ending. Now, by the way, I learned this from a book. I forgot what it's called. I think it's called Psychology of Money. And he says in the book, there was this hedge fund manager that had millions of dollars, and this guy that wrote a book and had a few dollars also. And he said, one thing I do have is enough, and the other guy will never have enough because he's chasing just money. And that's very powerful. And that's what I kind of focus on. And for me personally, if I have $1,000 per month in passive income, that covers my core expensive. If I have $2,000, that lets me live comfortably. If I have $4,000, that lets me live lavishly. And for me, that's more than enough. So I know, hey, I need to have in my investment account this much money, in real estate this much money. If I work this many hours, I can basically get there in this time. I can do this and do that. The point is, know where you're going before you start walking. Well, not really. Like, start walking. That's the most important thing. But then as you're walking, know where you're going, because you're going to just be lost. Okay, that's that. Now, the last thing is, guys, lifestyle. I decluttered my lifestyle. There are usually 3 main badges of honor that keep people trapped forever. And that's the house, that's the car, and that's the people. And in the people, you also have the wife involved in there, okay? Because some people like to get trophy wives. Not a good idea, by the way. But overall, the first thing is the house. My dream was initially, and by the way, when I talk like this, it reminds me of how I used to think, which is basically, Tommy, if you're not chasing a mansion, then you're not working hard enough. And then I realized, like, is that really a true idea? The answer is no. I wanted a home that was like $600,000, and I was like, for what? Like, I can live just fine in a home that's like $200,000, right? That's more than enough for me. Like 3-4 bedrooms, that's fine. And then, for example, the car, I wanted to have, for example, like a Cayenne Porch. That's something I'm still probably gonna get potentially, but when it's actually time to actually get it, I still have other things I have to do first, right? But saying no to that car and saying, for example, hey, you know what? I want a Tesla Model X or a Lexus RX, right? And then saying, what do I actually drive today? I drive a Toyota Prius. It cost me like $9,000. But having that car and no car payments allows me to invest the difference, which is like around $900 per month, and say I'm going to invest that money, grow that money, and have money in my stock market account, okay? That's actually a lot more important. Makes me passive income, produces me something, I can buy me the car I want eventually, The cool thing is, if you grow an investment account to like $1 million, you take 4% of that, that's like $40,000. You can buy whatever car you want once a year, right? That's pretty cool stuff. But you gotta build that up first. You have to have priorities. And then lastly, people, having, for example, the wrong wife that basically is a spender and you're like a saver, probably not the best idea. Having friends that just want you to spend money, probably not the best idea either. I had like 15, 20 friends, and today I have like less than 5 friends. But those friends are my core. Those are my foundation. Those are like the people that I carry, So it's like, my point with this video is, yes, minimalism is so cool. Having less stuff is so cool. Having less clothes, cool stuff, okay? Having a house that looks white and fancy, cool stuff. But at the core, saving $30 because you're not doing this, awesome, but saving thousands of dollars because you're saying, hey, you know what, I want this, but I'm willing not to have this for now. That's the cool stuff, okay? And as you watch this video, it kind of feels like I'm being like anti-desires, anti-entrepreneurship, anti like being big baller. That's not what I'm saying. You know, what I believe is in whatever you're doing, you're supposed to try to be absolutely the best you can, to earn the most you can, to be the best you can. And you know, if you do that correctly, you will earn a lot of money. But when you have unchecked desires, what happens is it's never enough. And what happens is, you know, the more money you make, the more money you spend, and you're always living paycheck to paycheck, and that's not what you want. But when you have clear limits, clear goals, then you kind of keep building up and building up, you know? And that's awesome. It's a step-by-step process. I'm a lot better today than I was when I was 19 years old and broke, right? But I could be a lot worse off if I said, I'm just going to waste everything I have. My point is, more money is not going to fix the issue. More desires won't fix the issues. Actually, wanting less is going to be able to give you the ability and freedom to actually achieve financial freedom a lot more easier and faster overall. But guys, that is it for this video. Comment down below if it was helpful, and comment down below less, L-E-S-S, so I know you made it all the way to the end of the video. On top of that, also up here is another video. Over here is my Facebook and subscribe, and as always, long-term team officially out. Not the standard tradition of minimalism, but it's my definition, and that's why I wanted to share this video with you guys.